Howdy, y'all. It's old Mikey down at Mike's Golf Shop. We're going to go over where we are now with the 2025 Tennessee Volunteers. After 8 games, we're 6-2. And I don't know if you guys watched the game last night. We played up in Kentucky. We certainly had a lot of offense in this game, which is always fun for the Tennessee Vols fans to watch. Kind of a recap of the game, looking at it. In the first quarter, we won 21-7. We had a pick 6 in there. We had some kind of other turnover situation. Kentucky had like a nightmare start. In the second half, the game was 14-14. In the third quarter, we won 14-6. And we tied the fourth quarter 7-7. So we won 2 out of the 4 quarters, and we tied the other 2. So that winds up being a pretty good romp, if you will. Clearly, Joey Aguilar. It says here 20 out of 26 for 396 yards. So that's 20 yards to throw. I mean, the deep ball was on fire for the Big Orange. We had a running back, Star Thomas, carried for 64 yards. Brazel, 4 catches for 138 and a touchdown. It seemed like everybody was catching a touchdown pass. That's pretty neat. I was extremely happy with the fact with a minute and 40 seconds to go in the second quarter, we got the ball back, drove that thing down the field and scored a touchdown, throwing to the tight end there with 10 seconds to go, something like that. That was a pretty good deal. Team stat-wise, you look at this, we gave up 476 yards. Again, our defense was really not too good. This dude, quarterback for Kentucky, threw for 330 yards. Let's see. 26 out of 35 for 330 yards and 5 touchdowns. How about that? I mean, that's a pretty good night. Now, he did have 1 pick, and it went the other way. And that hurt him, They ran the ball pretty effectively, too. So, I mean, our defense, it's the same thing. It's like I watched him play yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, why can't this defense, shut these guys down? Now, I know they're trying, and I know they got good players, too. And occasionally in this game last night, our defense did, snug up in the right gaps and stop the run. I mean, they tried to run the power on us a few times, and we were all up in the middle of that and stopped it pretty good. But occasionally, something just slips away, and it just makes me wonder why, And Kentucky's not very good. I think they're well coached. He just ain't got the horses up there is the biggest part of the problem. Their young quarterback, I think, is pretty good. They made some big plays on us. I mean, throw a screen pass and go 75 yards. I mean, that kind of stuff blows my mind. And of course, we outscore everybody so much that it don't matter. I mean, it's like we score 56 points in this game. Now, granted, they gave us 14 of them, so You back that off there, and it's a 42-34 win. So it's a heck of a lot closer than, it would have been without those really catastrophic plays that the Wildcats had. If you look at their schedule, let's see what they got here. They played Ole Miss, a 7-point game. South Carolina walloped them pretty hard. Georgia walloped them pretty hard. They took Texas to overtime, and then we walloped them pretty hard. So, they really, in the grand scheme of things, this is probably the worst team they've had in a few years, and they've just never really seemed to be able to turn the corner. So, it was a great game for us to go play. It was a great scrimmage game, so to speak. It allowed us to go out there and do our thing and kind of test some things that we were working on. I mean, the Big Orange has got the deep ball. And Joey throws a deep ball mighty good, and he's good in the pocket back there. He's not much of a runner. He's never really going to hurt you too much on his feet like that. Occasionally he gets some green grass in front of him. Sometimes he don't want to take it, and he throws the ball. It's like, we got just a little bit of a limitation there. He's not like an all-star runner, like some people are. But, man, is he good throwing it. I mean, he is so freaking good throwing it. So I look at the offense of Tennessee in 2025, and I say to myself, this may be the best offense that we've had in the Heupel era. Now, I do recall when we had Hendon Hooker and we had Tillman and Hyatt. I forget some of the running backs we had at that time, but we had a very formidable offensive team at that point too. In some ways better, because I think Hooker was a little bit better on his feet running the football. But this offense we got is equally as good as that. So I would say that the Vols have a number one caliber offense. Now, what about the rest of it? Coaching decisions in the game. I don't know that we are all the way elite with some of the best who's ever walked out there. I think we're just a little lackluster sometimes and make the wrong decision here and there, especially clock management and when to pull the guns and how to run the clock and some things like that, But Josh is kind of learning, I think. Defensive side of the ball, I'm pretty much sure that we have the guys that we need. I think we got good guys. I know we're still got some of our best players on the bench out of the game for injury and whatnot. I don't exactly know what their status is. And I don't know if we get those guys back ever this season or what. But I think the players that we have on defense are good enough. I think the scheme, sometimes maybe even a little bit of the attitude, maybe not quite there. You know what I mean? The thing I love about the defense is occasionally they can step up with the big play, sack. They do some good things like that, disruptive-wise. I think just standing there mano a mano playing defense sometimes where guys are out of position. I think the defensive backs play soft zone sometimes. It just gives them too much. That's just as an innocent bystander. I do think as far as red zone defense is concerned, heard a stat last night. I don't know if it's true. They said we're ranked like 100th in the nation in red zone defense. So, we got some issues on the defensive side of the ball. And I mean, you can't expect an offensive team, especially in these games get tougher. You can't expect the offense to be able to bail you out every single time. I mean, the defense is going to have to really get better. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take, Banks. What's it going to take? I'm calling you out, man. You're the thing stopping this team from being the dang national champion. And let's look at this schedule that we've played so far just for a minute. This team has been beaten this season. We got beat first loss and overtime loss at home against Georgia. And they're ranked number 5 in the nation. Okay? Now, everybody knows, they should know, that we had 2 plays during regulation that could have ended that game in a win for the Vols. One of them was a 4th and 7 from about our 37-yard line where Georgia throws a touchdown pass, okay? We had them beat. All you got to do is win one play, and they're beat. We lost the play, lost a touchdown. Then we go down there and had a kick. That's when the coach started fumbling the ball on the calls and stuff. He's like, what am I doing down here? Well, I mean, he got some false start penalty, cost us 5 yards on the kick. Should have just run the guy out there and kicked it and been done, in my opinion. I'd have run him out there. But, hey, it is what it is. Our running game was really good at that point. We could have just kept running the football and maybe scored a touchdown and ended it right there. So, aggressiveness is sometimes, I think that's where Heupel don't really know what to do is like, okay, how do I let the clutch out and shift gears up in the top cog and cruise on around to turn 4 and get this thing to the checkerboards. I mean, I think sometimes he butchers that, and I think it's on him. And he's going to have to study and figure out and get a little bit better mentally. I mean, it's hard when you got really 12 seconds to make a critical decision in a game concerning a play or whatever. So, I mean, can't everybody do it. I agree 100%. And Josh struggles with that a little bit. Then the next game that we had was the game in Alabama, where everybody who's watching football and knows anything about it knows that we had one play in that game that was a 14-point swing. Okay? That if you just change that on the board, we wound up getting beat 37-20. If you change it on the board, just that one play, it's 30-27, okay? So we have a team that is now 6-2 that is arguably 3 plays away, no more than 5 plays away from being undefeated and number 1 in the nation. Now that's the truth, okay? We're 5 plays away from being undefeated and number 1 in the nation. Why would we be number 1? Well, Alabama's number 4, Georgia's number 5. We would have been the top-rated team in the SEC. We would have beat all these guys. And, Ohio State can say what they want to, but they don't play nobody. And Indiana don't either. So, the Big Orange is 5 plays away from being number 1 right now. Now, there's a whole lot of things that can change over the course of the next 4 games, okay? Now, we don't have much time to get ready for a team that is, arguably on the cusp of being good, and that is Oklahoma Sooners. They are coming to UT Neyland Stadium next Saturday night, November the 1st. Okay? Now, those guys, they say, oh, they're a great defense, whatever. Are they a great defense? They have a, quote, defensive coach, okay? Now, what that tells me is they have a substandard coach because it's an offensive game these days. So a defensive coach is going to struggle, just like Georgia Bulldogs got a defensive coach. That's why they struggle. They get out there and they're behind in every game 14-0 before they can ever get it going. Oklahoma this year, they were 24-17 versus Auburn at home. Texas beat them 23-6. Texas not very good. They beat South Carolina 26-7 on the road. That's probably their biggest win. They lost to Ole Miss yesterday, 34-26. So if that defense is so great, how come they gave up 34 points to Ole Miss? You know what I mean? I just don't buy it. I don't think they're there. I think the quarterback they got maybe is a pretty impressive kid, but he hurt his fingers. And I watched him yesterday. He absolutely missed wide open receivers in the last couple minutes of that game that could have changed the outcome. So I just don't think that we're going to be in trouble in that game, even though it'll be a great football game. And then we play New Mexico State, which is going to be, looks like we got a week off after Oklahoma. Play New Mexico State, which will be a practice game. Then we go to the Swamp to play the Florida Gators, our nemesis, at our nemesis location. And that is going to be an absolutely tough, incredibly difficult football game for the Big Orange. I like our chances better than ever down there. Seriously. Florida Gators in disarray. They fired the coach. The players, half of them ready to jump in the portal, all the rest. So, they don't have what it takes down there to get the men motivated, I don't think, to win that football game. And then we got the freaking Vanderbilt Commodores, number 10, coming to Neyland Stadium. And for a fact, there's nobody more motivated in the history of mankind to win a football game than the Pavia boy at Neyland Stadium. That dude is going to be juiced like never before. So, we don't skate to the playoff. We do not skate to the playoff. It is a day-by-day, week-by-week, hour-by-hour situation of preparation. We do have a really highly important game this week with Oklahoma coming to Neyland Stadium. I think we got a leg up on them. They lost yesterday. So we're probably swapping places with them. They were 13. We were 17. So chances are we move up 13, they drop 17. It's kind of how I'm thinking that one's going to be. Something like that. Missouri was 15. They drop out. I kind of forgot what else happened yesterday in the scoreboard. Let me take a look here. Everything kind of went according to plan. It looks to me like that yesterday. Alabama got out with the skin of their teeth over at South Carolina. I never felt so bad. I thought they were beat. Ole Miss won on the road at Oklahoma. Vanderbilt wins at home versus Missouri. So 15 Missouri, they're dropping down. Who else? Miami won big. LSU ranked number 20. They're dropping out now because Texas A&M thumped them pretty hard. That's pretty much the call on it. Tennessee probably moves up to 13 in the nation. So we're knocking on the door of the top 12. Okay? So the Oklahoma game next week gets us in the top 12. And then we have a rest week in which other people will lose and we'll move up into the top 10. And then we go wallop New Mexico State, which puts us in the top 8, okay? Then we go to Florida. We thump the Gators, and we will be in the top 6 or 7. And then we beat Vandy, and we're a top 5 football team. So it's all in our hands. It's all on the coaches. I think we got the players to do it. And so the Big Orange is already 5 plays away from an undefeated #1 season. 5 plays away out of, what are we, 6-2, 8 games. You know, we've played 650 plays, and we're 5 plays away from being #1 in the nation. So all you haters out there, that tells you something about the Big Orange, okay? So next week is a critical football game for the Big Orange. One of the biggest games that's ever been played in Neyland Stadium, okay? Because it will get us into the top 12, into the college football playoffs if we win that football game and continue forward with what it is that we're doing. So that's the take that I got on the Big Orange through 8 games. Brought to you by Starbucks. We'll see you later.